that tanks are getting beads. I mean, look in this game, both FidoK and Haddix have picked them up at level 1. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction personally. I think that your tanks are designed to die come late game, but look at this in the mid lane.
Yeah, but already the ultimate from Herwind is out, forced by Venenu, who grabs first blood away from the Jade Dragons. They don't look outclassed right now as the bolts hang with them for first blood, but Barracuda low in left. In comes the airstrike, and Panda Cat answers back instantly. Couldn't quite keep up level 5, but now Sam wants something back. Lasbra out of health and out of mana and out of options as Sam finds the second kill of the game. Non-stop action across the board. The Dragons get the 2-for-1, but first blood bounty does go to the Bolt. As such, Barracuda forced to back off, but it's Herwind in mid who's still the more vulnerable for not having those purification beads, and the Bolts are getting aggressive along that fact. Mike is the target. They drop Nimult on him, and out comes Herwinds in response, and they've survived the aggression. Now FidoK wants to re-engage. Sam dunks down as well, but Jake has escaped to the right-hand side, and Haddix seems fine as well. Aggression from the Bolts responded to by the Dragons, but still, no casualties result.
I mean, that's, what, 2 ults for 2 ults on both ends? Not
even though FidoK now already rotating out and matching what Haddix has already done. Staying group because they've done all game. There's a bit of an engagement in, and Mike the early target. So FidoK goes right to Venenu in the back of the fight, who still has not responded with relics as Sam comes crashing in and makes himself known. But Herwin able to find the damage to take down Jake, already removed. Is the support for the Bolts, so the Dragons find the first blood in this engagement, and FidoK not done, forcing the fatal strikeout from Haddix defensive.
And a cat on this Jingwei. Wind Demon complete as the ultimate comes out on a FidoK, but a great wall from Sam stops the aggression instantly.
9 gods and 9 comfortable games from Sam. That guy's nuts. Herwind a little too far forward, and Venenu gonna take his damage, and no one can step in to burn him during the slow movement. In comes Sam, but he falls as well. Great thunder crash there for the Mez, and just like that, the Bolts have answered back so far. The 3 versus 1 matchup has lived up to the name.
Man, that's exactly what you need Venenu to do. If he's going to get shells instead of 2 Aegises on their backline, you've just got to be aggressive with those Tycho drums. He gets good poke onto Herwind and then says, wait, why am I not just dumping Tycho drum damage in this man? What's he going to do? Shell it? That's not going to be enough. And a bit of a miscommunication, which can happen, an overlap of those shells from Hurry and Panda Cat. So you don't just double your shield, you just refresh it. That means that he got a lot less potential HP than he could have in that moment.
FidoK trying to tornado arrow, but Barracuda has the short sword. Will that even come into factor though, as FidoK goes right through Venenu in the back of the fight. They drop Nimult on him, but Herwin has the backup, and Lasbra removed from the equation, forced to fall back out of the fight. So Sam takes to the air, looking to re-engage, and chooses Lasbra and Venenu on the right side, and the Lasbra does go down. Venenu though, interrupted out of the thunder crashed by Sam for Soccer, and that brings Vin down low. Both his relics used, and now that much more vulnerable. And the Jade Dragon, smelling blood in the water, get aggressive. This is what they do so well. It looks like you're sticking with them all game, and they will.
It took Vin a long time to reset too. He is just now leaving the base, and I don't think he's going to get here before this FG gets done.
They might even drop it to take this fight with Jake so low. He still has lurking in the waters. Sunder comes out as well. Perhaps used a bit earlier, but it's Airstrike that moves him in. Barracuda inside the Bifrost, but cannot travel through it in time, is too low, and Panda Cat will find yet another kill, and removing the backline, and Herwin deletes Venenu, but Vin gets damage on his way out, at least gets rid of Sam for Soccer, but that's not going to slow down the Jade Dragons. FidoK has his sights set on Jake, who's not feeling awesome today. FidoK finds one.
I feel like FidoK is the dad, like, listening to his kids argue about if they can, they can't get into the bag of chips in the back seat. He was zoning away Haddix, then he turns around and goes, all right, kids, I'll do it. I'll pull the Fire Giant for you so we can get it done.
Did he get his dash?
Lasbra, he got his dash. Sam's already gotten it. Sunder's there as well. Good slow. Sam's going to need to freehand it and just a little bit off the mark on that Mjolnir's attunement, and gets the beads there from Jake, so good job by
Next here is Mike gets plucked in. At the same time, Haddix will engage onto the back line of the Dragons, try and keep Mike isolated, but Mike too tanky. At this point, as Sam dunks down, and Jake has become the target, so that means the Bolts have to step back in. They don't want their support to die on the right side for free, and Sam takes a ton of damage. Haddix gets the last bit of damage. The Bolts find a window of opportunity to cut into the Dragons' lead, but with just Sam going down with the Tier 2 towers likely being all they had planned anyway, I don't know if the Dragons are really feeling all that bad about it in the first place.
for the solo laner and the jungler over the bolts, and those are big deals, certainly. But it's not like a 10,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. There's a massive difference in itemization at those points. I don't think the Dragons did enough to guarantee this fight.
River's Rebuke coming out. Haddix is trapped inside, and the damage raining down. Another big pick from the Dragons, and that's what they do best. Still no shell for Hurrywind, but it might not matter if he's able to comfortably sit in the back line while Jake gets locked down by the Dragons again. The front line's removed. A decision to hard commit to them this time and blow them up as a squad, not just Sam on his own, and that is it for any hopes of defending this Fire Giant if you're the Bolts. I want it's there.
Yeah, this is smart. You hold off on it, but Venenu is coming in. This is risky now. As soon as Ven shows up, they should know it. No, Ven gets all the way into the pit, and the Dragons get it, but now Ven is just dead.
Yeah, I like what Ven was doing, but 14-14 from the Spirit of the Nine Winds. That's sayonara in numerical language there, as he is sent into the Shadow Realm, and now the Jade Dragons will just push down this right side lane. 4-member strong, Sam on the way to make it 5, and no one on the Bolt in position to set up a defense just yet, so Panicat gets free reign. Not an Amir that can just put a wall up this time, and the right side Phoenix goes down. But in comes the pluck from Jake, and Mike is the one pulled back into the wolves, but Jake pays for it dearly, and the Dragons have a chance now to re-engage. Haddix is the target. Lasbra losing the duel up against Sam, who is able to find it with a good wall. 3 members down, just Bera and Haddix. This turns from a Phoenix Siege into a game-in call. Frenzy pop, River's Rebuke down, and the Dragons get it done in 30 minutes, 50 seconds against the Bolts.
Listen, it's exactly what I was just...
See that? We usually see them pick up Benevolence then in that slot. Just go ahead and
Yes.
get these tank boots online right away and then drop that Benevolence in there second. We've seen it work out for them just when they want to split that farm. They do it later as Mike's been plucked in, and Barracuda's damage is substantial. The tail whip was there too, and Mike kind of forced to put Ardio's rather short tail between his legs and back off. Good pressure from Barracuda and Sobek in this lane. And people don't think about Jingwei as like a fight god, but any kind of CC into that knockup feels really hard to deal.
Time where you're hittable the entire time. That's the big difference, is that you're CC'd for the same amount of time. It's just that a lot of times you're running away, you end up getting knocked up out of range. With something like the RDO route, those synergize very well.
Is he considering a gank here? He does have presence. Mike moves in, and there's the blink. Jake already in trouble, pulled in, and on the jump in, Lasber gets knocked up, so maybe he'll have to settle for Pandacat as the target here. Does find the Cobra's Kiss, and Pandacat falls in trade support for ADC, and they have a chance to get Sam to a rotation in from Venenu, and in the early game, the Bolts have again responded, and now up to the sky goes Bera, dropping right back down. Maybe thought there's a bit more he could find on the back whip, but the Bolts got to be happy with a 2-for-1 for early game trade.
He was looking for Mike, who was very low. As Haddix going to use the beads, he might have FidoK dead to rights. He does. FidoK gets solo killed by the rookie solo laner for the Olympus Bolts, and a great start to the game for them. They give up first blood. It's kind of the inverse of what we saw in game 1, where the
beads, good pressure. But Ven might be safe, but in comes Sam, keeping up the aggression. They finally stop as Barracuda goes up with the ult.
Felt like Sam and Mike were just on 2 different pages, as Bera is going to land aggressively because Lasber's on the flank.
Yeah, they're sandwiched, and Sam, I suppose, is the meat and the cheese. Venenu finds that kill, and Mike now plucked back in, stuck inside, lurking the waters for the slow, and the Bolts just flat out grouping better at this point in the game. Mike goes down, as was guaranteed with that many members around him, and now 5-1 in the charts, dipping drastically in favor of the Chaos side team.
And that's it. It all comes back to... I think this is the first time all year that Fine has been behind in a lane, because the Dragons have made such an effort to get him ahead, and then he has done such a good job of leveraging those leads. I think Fine has looked like the player who's playing at the highest level coming into this set. Haddix taking it to him.
But a good pluck, that'll bring Mike right back in, and no chance for him to survive. This early game has been a bit disastrous for the Dragons, as in comes the aggression from Lasber, dropping the last breath, and Barracuda landing as well. Deathbane allows for Lasber to reposition, and now Sam in an awful spot. Pluck back in, and Venenu finding himself a double. 3-0-2 for the mid laner to start off this game up against the very best we have in the SPL. The Bolts are not shying away. Give up on finding any more of that blue buff in.
still, this is not what most teams would do in this position, being down by 3,000 gold at 9 minutes.
Get this aggressive.
2,000, I suppose. Yeah, they are the ones walking in, but Lasbra finding Hurry in mid.
And he was just right. No beads there for Hurry means that he's in a coffin. Too easy for Lasbra on that one to pick off the Kukulkan and continue his push forward. And looks like they might even want to leverage this into a Fury.
Behind, or in Duo Lane's case, not exactly equipped to follow up on a great gank. Chernobog just too safe in that lane.
Bolts, though, rotating on to Fine OK, who moves underneath the tower. Beads buys him a moment, but locked down by the last breath, continues to reposition. But the Bolts take so little damage with Haddix tanking. Lasbra finds the pick, and the Bolts continue. It feels like they can make no wrong calls through these first 12 minutes. Wherever they want to go, they were aggressive on Mike, who's resisting Barracuda with the advantage up against Panicat. He takes to the sky and comes back down for the slow and the cooldown reset, but Hurwin's on his way, and if Barracuda's not careful, he will get pincered in by the Hurwin rotation. Now they get aggressive. Wherever you go, we've got it covered. Aegis keeps him alive, though, against the Spirit of the Nine Wind, but Panicat, with help from his mid laner, does find a kill, but all the while, Tier 1 in right goes down.
Yeah, I just feel like Barra's job in this game is just to wait at Haddix's ult, but either of those, you're happy to immune, and you should just be able to avoid Venenu's combo from a distance. It's pretty slow. So I think the Magi's is perfect in this game. I wouldn't mind seeing Final K grab one as well.
Final K is rotating around top side, but so much damage from Venenu, and Final K already low. In fact, forced to use his ultimate just to disengage, and Lasbra cleans up. He does get hit by that Spirit of the Nine Winds, but Final K is not in the position to make those normal rotations he pulls off. Venenu, just too big.
And it was an overcommit from the Dragons in order to try and save him. Using Hurwin's ultimate opens up this Gold Fury beautifully.
Yeah, no chance for them to steal from range. They can barely even make their way in, with Haddix doing such a good job zoning, and Hurwin just being relentlessly hunted. Mike does make it in there in time to buy some room, but even if Haddix doesn't get the kill, he gets the shell, his team gets the Fury. Pandacat is swinging, as you alluded to earlier. His damage certainly still relevant, but another physical item is on the way there for Haddix. Will they even get there in time? Fire Giant is indeed the call. And Barracuda making his way in. Mike the first one there and is local, and Pandacat nowhere nearby, not even nearby in terms of the same hemisphere as Mike. Takes too much damage. Looks like the Bolts come off the objective and go for the dive, and Mike should be a free kill. Lasbra gets it, but Jake low in the back, as well as Hurwin dove on. Great work from the Bolts to find the mid and support right at the start of this engagement, though it looks like Pandacat might try and trade out this tier 2 for it. It's about the best he can do from that position.
Fine, okay, really the only one still local. Sam's close, but no ultimate, no blink for him means it's tough for him to find a way in.
They do drop the objective and go for Sam on the backside. They leave Jake for dead and try and find Sam, and not even leaving him for dead. As Final K blinks in, but some backup in the form of Barracuda has arrived, and Final K maybe goes up to Camelot for Avalon, but that's only going to last for a moment as Venenu improves to 5-0, a rampage for him. Looks like maybe the Bolts, though, want to bide their time. They go to Pyromancer first, and perhaps a reset before they want to come back to Fire.
Fine, okay, blinking in to try and kill Jake. It's just not worth it for him to do that. And now it means that he's down for when they pull Fire once again.
Fire has indeed been pulled, already down below half HP, but the Bolts come off it. They're going to give no chance for a steal. Hurwin pulled back in, and Hurwin has nothing to do, pulled back in and falls to the hands of Venenu, and they start that Fire up again. Very willing to pull it, take the fight, drop it, and go back to it again, and this time no one steps forward.
For them, though, it was Haddix who broke it very quickly by blinking in onto both backliners, but in that fight, Hurwin wasn't there right away. He backed a little bit late. And I think we might have a similar situation here as Lasbra's keeping too busy on the right.
Yeah, they just have not yet been all in position. Hurwin getting completely handled by Haddix. It opens up for the Bolts to just step right on in and melt the left side Phoenix completely. The Dragons have not really shown us that they're really ready just yet for Phoenix defense. I don't know if this is count and threaten. Haddix could too if he wasn't tanky enough and Chad enough to just walk straight down Main Street right through the Phoenix and say hello to anyone who dares contest. It's Sam trying to keep Lasbra out and right, but Lasbra just outright winning the battle as Sam trades beads and is still low. Meanwhile, mid Phoenix being threatened as well. Hurwin low, Pandacat low, and forced to retreat. So Lazarus moves in for Fine OK. All three Phoenixes cut down, but the right side respawns just in time for the Dragons to have one more place to plant their feet, but plant their feet they can't as Fine OK moves in, jostles around Haddix a bit, who shrugs it off easily, and now a chance for the right side Phoenix to go down, the base completely exposed.
Every relic still up except for Jake's on the side of the Bolts, and the Blinks, of course, from Lazara and from Haddix. And they could wait around on Lazara's ultimate to come up, because look at this pressure that the Jade Dragons are about to be under from the left-hand side. 2 waves of fire minions are about to come into the base.
This has been a good one from the Bolts. Can they clean this up? Can they sign on the dotted line and submit a game win here over the Dragons? Minions now pouring into the Titan. Lazara has a path underneath to go right to Herwind if he wants it, but still being patient. The Bolts now move in. Haddix with a blink, and he knows the target is to get towards Panda Cat. Right side Phoenix deleted, but the Jade Dragon still holding on hope as the Titan comes down to half HP. Panda Cat forced to airstrike away. Onto the Titan now goes Laspra and Venenu with a chance to finally strike at the core of this Dragons team, and the Bolts get it done, taking a game off the Jade Dragons.
First team to...
The Dragons, though, I think got to make sure their focus is on this early game to some extent, because that was where the Bolts really got away with things in this game, and then it put them in a position where it seemed like they felt they had to go for some riskier plays, some hero plays, and the Bolts were certainly ready to defend it. And I think Herwind being on this Scylla is pretty big as well. Give him a chance in what he considers that secondary pick. Even said in an interview he thinks it might be better than his Giannis. A real chance to prove it as Herwind in some trouble, maybe not seeing it there, but he held on to the beads, so my man remained confident.
Yeah, no fear in that man. He's he'll take the L on the damage, but doesn't want to lose the...
Your Tabi, looks like Lansborough delayed that a little longer to set up for that gank and to make life much easier for Haddix. If he's able to find a stun off the back of his ult or something like that, Haddix would be in trouble. But Sam now here in right helps the blue and leaves. Meanwhile, Panda Cat pulled in. He's on Heimdall. Does make it into the Bifrost just in the nick of time. No HP, but holds on to the beads. Very surprised with the way these backliners have been patient, almost obstinate with these relics.
Yeah,
doing the middle damage that might accrue.
Yeah, a lot of abilities being fired off on both sides and not always landing for each side, but love the aggressiveness so far, and it's worked out better for the Bolts up until this point at the very least.
Now a chance to get aggressive. Fine OK drops the shield and it just gets deleted. First blood goes to Lasbra again, but Sam a chance to turn things around and maybe even find a second kill. But he's so low on mana, might not be able to keep this up onto Haddix, who uses the slow from that dash to peel off of Sam and at least keep things 1-for-1 solo for jungle. But now Mike with a chance to find the stun into the ghastly breath, but still doesn't have quite enough damage. Now Mike certainly going to die for this trade. Yes, he gets Haddix, but gives up his life support for solo to make sure they put Haddix down.
Man, he must have gotten hit by the frame 1 of an auto attack from Haddix. I didn't see Haddix deal any damage to him. I thought he with a great freehand shot, and that's still worth his time. Is Barra even coming over to help out Lasbra, who blinked in onto Sam, but Sam once again escapes.
Alright, so this is why Mike locks in Cerberus all the time, is because he's just not going to miss the paralyzing spit. Barra now suddenly in an awful position. Knock up and I'm a monster, and Barracuda ends up punished for the aggressive use of the ultimate. Wanted to back up Laspra, who was bullying out Sam successfully, but ends up paying the price with his life. And the last thing you want to do is give Panda Cat more...
And his damage, so no reason to pick a fight where Haddix could be there at all. If I'm the Jade Dragons, I'm trying to steer clear of this Guan Yu for the foreseeable future.
Lasbra's found Sam in the jungle again, and so far Lasbra's winning it. One more auto does it. Leaps back in, still can't find it, and Sam ends up falling to Jake. I think that damage might have been needed, hard to say, but the first kill goes to the Bolt. I'm a Monster seems to connect, but it's Mike in trouble, and again, the Bolts have the Jade Dragon seemingly outclassed in this early game. A better rotation, they're first, and they put down jungle and support.
And it's just smart fight selection by the Bolts. Exactly what I'm saying. You don't want to take a fight anywhere near Haddix. They force it, but now Barracuda nearly gets soloed by Panda Cat. Close, but no cigar for the Jade Dragon's Hunter. I was going to say, he's not going to let Barra back at that point, man. He's got to hold him there, especially with Herwind. let's do it. Not only are they doing it on a back timing from the secure mage that they have to worry about, but also on a level 12 power spike that Mike hasn't met yet.
He's not ready, and Lasbra has him locked down with 4 members of the squad on the way over the wall with the ambush. Good stun into Barracuda buys Mike time, but it is only time and little else as Deathbane cuts him down for his 3rd death of the game. And that speaks to your point that maybe the real struggles for Hurwin are that Fine OK and Mike Bolts have done such a good job of being so early to the objective and burning it so quickly. The Jade Dragons are really going to have to be on the information side of things if they want to keep up. And now the Bolts just looking for picks. Mike pulled in and does not have the purification beads. Meanwhile, Lasbra ganked over in solo. Up into I'm a Monster goes Hurwin, and Lasbra avoids getting knocked up by the Typhoon. Has to drop beads to make that happen. Meanwhile, Hurwin and Mike both make it out of there, and Hurry never once drops a relic to get it done. Beads do come out from... He's considering it as Jake stays on it, but a back from Haddix makes me think they're not all in committing. Barra not looking to ult in. They'll drop the FG, and now the Dragons have a chance to move in and get good positioning as Mike moves in first. Plucked. There comes Sam with the Typhoon, knocks up Venenu, and gets the Aegis out of him early. And Venenu low. Fine OK finds that first kill, but Jake reacts with a kill onto Sam. And now it's Barracuda's time to make it in. Hurwin low. Dashes in, but gets plucked kind of back towards safety. No, Lasbra lying in wait, cleans up the kill with the Cobra's Kiss. A critical one for Lasbra to have found.
Man, Hurry's so greedy with the relics, doesn't use either
bringer on him, which is monumental in terms of the DPS output. Yes, he's here, but is it too little too late as the fire in the sights of the Olympus bolts already? Haddix the first one on it, and the DPS beginning. The Dragons are close, and Hurwin has I'm a Monster as Jake moves up for the zone, and Jake getting burned quite quickly. Haddix taking damage too as I'm a Monster comes through, and Panda Cat gets the first pick onto Haddix, who said FG. Might be a way for the Bolts to give a Dragons the way back in, and I saw it there.
Blink is up on 7 seconds for Mike, but Jade Dragon's going to head back towards the fire themselves instead.
Jake wants to come back in. He's low. Lasbra on the backside, so Mike blinks in, but Barracuda shreds him instantly. Mike forced to retreat, so Fine OK. The next man in, and Panda Cat gets another kill, but on the backside, Lasbra is able to do enough damage to remove Mike, and I think the poison spread to Fine OK as Lasbra gets a double. Panda Cat goes down 2. And you cannot overrate the impact that Lasbra has had in this set, averting disaster for his boys and maybe even a chance to take care of Hurwin too. Can't find the Cobra's Kiss, does get pulled back in, but still able to get Fine OK low. Looks like he will finally fall, but he has slowed down what the Dragons could do on the back of that fight.
So look at the difference between the Fire Giant pulls that the Bolts just did and what they were doing on Gold Furies earlier.
Keep them at bay.
I think I would defend this EFG. Enhance is just such a big deal that it really becomes difficult. Lasbra looking for Sam.
And drops that last breath. Now Sam in trouble, doesn't have Aegis. In comes the ambush, and Barracuda there with the ultimate, and Sam removed. That makes it a moot question. Do you go to EFG defend or not now? Down in the 4v5, I don't see how you can step up, but Fine OK still does. I like the confidence and steps in, but Fine OK forced to blink, I think, to get away from that positioning. Regroups with the squad. Still gets hit by the Cobra's Kiss anyway once he steps up. So Lasbra just dropped the last breath. Bolts take the FG. Meanwhile, while all that's happening, so EFG on their side and Haddix will engage. Mike pulled back to the Wolves to be devoured by the Bolts, who will not be denied a chance to take the Jade Dragons down and find a critical victory up against a team no one else can figure out how to beat.
And now the Dragons are in a very dangerous
to knock down the Kings and take care of the undefeated record early on in the season. Mid-Phoenix stripped away, and I think the Bolts are done with formalities and done with dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Lasbra moves up, ambush in, and forces Sam to blink defensively. And now an engage from the Dragons. Typhoon dropped. I'm a Monster, not quite connecting, but some low health bars on the Bolts. Looks like not quite as easy to all-in engage on the Dragons as they would have liked. But Fire Giant sustain keeps them healthy. They'll take a moment to breathe as Barracuda drops down on Sam. They knew where he is. No beads, and his life is forfeit.
Yeah, no ult for Sam either. That makes it easy pickings on that left side. So they don't end the game, but they keep on staggering the Jade Dragons. They prevent. Ultimates are on cooldown as well. Barra barely has any mana. The Jade Dragons are going to punish. This has got to be it.
Jake moves in first, Haddock right behind to keep Fine OK zone, and the Phoenix suffering all the while, but Barracuda forced to retreat. In comes Fine to try and keep them at bay, and does get good damage on the Vin, but Fine now low. Haddock's ready to make his way in, and Lasber right there alongside. Panda Cat removed. Hurwind is right behind him, sent to the afterlife as Lasber gets his 8th kill of the game up against the Dragons, and now with a chance to take this game away, and it's rightfully theirs. The Titan down below half. It's done. Mark the calendars. May 14th, the Bolts took down the Dragons.
It seems they can bleed out.